What's up? Are we in it?
Episode 4 of Lore Dump started now. Started 30 seconds ago.
Is this episode 4 of Lore Dump?
Yeah, whoa.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Puberty. It's
oh,
good to
that's
see
our
you.
big fan. That's Philip, our big fan.
Philip hasn't gone through puberty yet.
Oh no, I haven't reached puberty yet.
Oh, Mr. Shaker Dance, can I go outside, please? No,
Who the
Philip.
fuck is that guy?
That's Philip.
Don't look at don't you look at him.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
Uh,
Hey, welcome to episode 4 of Lore Dump. We just had a whole intro section that was definitely cut and put at the end for your entertainment. So be sure to listen to the end, I guess.
it was a 10 out of 10 intro. Best intro you've ever heard.
I definitely gutted that thing and left it on the floor.
Hey.
Hey.
What's your name?
My name's Mr. Shikadance. I am a person. What's your name?
I'm the governor, a.k.a. Josh. Or the
Yeah,
inverse
I didn't
of
say
that.
my real name. I like
Yeah.
my real name, but my name's Sean. Don't call me Mr. Shikadance if you ever see me. I'm going to be mad.
Hey, Mr. Shikadance. It's good to see you.
Josh, what did I just say?
I wasn't listening.
I'm sorry. What did I just say? The 6 of Nar.
sorry.
Welcome to Lore Dump, a show where we build a world before your very ears.
That's true. That is what we
Yes.
do. It's pretty... Oh, yeah, because we're a podcast.
It's a
That's
podcast. We can see each other because we're on Discord, but this is a podcast, Joshua.
I got there. So they can't see me staring longingly into your eyes right now?
No, because they'd be distracted by your eyes
They're very
staring
pretty.
into mine.
I have very pretty eyes. It's true. What
So.
do we... So, hey, guess what?
So?
Here's the thing that Lore Dump does. If you have questions about homebrewing, you can bring those questions to us. Send
What?
them. Yeah. We have an email account, Sean.
Get right the fuck out of town, you lying sack of shit. There's no way anyone could just send in a question to this show and have it read on the show and answered on the show.
Well, sir. I'm here to tell you that there in fact is a way. I'm gonna blow your mind.
Go ahead and blow my mind,
okay.
science man.
Prepare yourself. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on to your
wait.
britches.
Hold on. I'm preparing.
Are your britches
All right,
held
I'm
on to?
ready. All right.
Okay.
Tell me how to
okay.
do my britches.
Okay.
All right, I'm
Okay.
ready.
You can send emails to loredumpquestions@gmail.com.
Oh, you're lying.
I'm not
You're
lying.
a lie. You lied to me.
My good friend, Mr. Shikadance, he likes it when
I'll
people
kill
call
you.
him that on the street. He set up this email account for you to send in questions, sir.
Okay, wise guy. Let's say I was someone who didn't have a fancy computer. All I got's my cellular phone with all my social medias on it, all my favorite ones.
Do you know what
like
Twitter
Instagram
is?
and Twitter?
Yeah, do you know what Twitter, Instagram? Yeah.
You tell me what I could do there.
Well, sir, well, good sir, kindly sir, wonderful, brilliant sir. You can send, or you can look us up at the Lore Dump to get a hold of us and send us your questions that way through Instagram or Twitter.
I've become appeased.
You're
You've
appeased?
won me over.
I'm so glad. I hope you're a
I
return
will
customer.
always watch your show. It's my favorite show. I was testing you and you passed. Thank you.
We usually blow through this, and this bit has been 4 minutes long.
I'm Philip's dad.
Hi, Philip's dad. Good to see you.
Hey, how's it going? So, this is the first of our hopefully regular episodes from here on out, where we're going to split it up into 2 sections. The second half being the audience participation portion we've been mentioning for 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And the first half is going to be us continuing to build our already established, yet to be named world by our audience. So be sure to send in those.
Well, technically, we named the
suggestions
world,
as well.
but everything else.
No, we didn't.
Toreg.
Oh, shit, we did. I meant the continent. God, I'm so bad at this. Yeah, so be sure to send in your submissions for the continent name, as well as the name of all the gods, because we didn't come up with those either.
Mm-hmm. Episode 2, 3, full of good stuff, full of good homebrew. Number 1 as well, but 2 and 3, we ask you to help us name.
Number 1 is trash. I hated that one. But all the other ones were good.
Hindsight is 2020.
All right. So what should we talk about today on this episode, Joshua?
Well, in episode 2, just dropped something on the floor and it made a ton of noise. In episode 2, we talked about this dragon. It lived on top of the pillars. It was essentially a dragon that was placed on this planet as a demigod to control the tempests and the storms.
Yes,
Very
we touched
important
upon
role.
that on episode 3.
Yes.
Seriously, if you're not listening to the old episodes, I don't know why you're still listening to this.
Yeah. Trust me, it's downhill. The other episodes are much better.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
picked
yeah,
at one and went down straight away.
Start there. Best review.
So this dragon that lives atop the pillars, that is a demigod. What does it have? What kind of dragon is it? Is it a gold dragon? Is it a blue dragon?
Well, I think
What is it, Josh?
I think it needs to be an ancient dragon. Or more.
ancient
Because
dragon.
we want this thing to be powerful, demigod like, big end boss. We're
Ooh.
essentially creating a kind of god.
So it's not just a regular dragon. It's
No.
something else. I like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's beyond ancient?
Eternal.
What if
Sorry.
eternal? I'm going to pose a question.
Okay, let's see it.
It's a poll of one. It's a poll of just you. Your answer decides.
The only answer that matters.
Eternal or ascendant?
Ascendant.
Ascendant?
Yeah.
Okay. Ascendant dragon is
100%. Yeah. It's
in
ascended.
our world. I feel like you're fucking with me and I don't appreciate
No, I genuinely do like the name.
Okay. So we're now canon. There is a step beyond ancient dragon in our world, which is ascendant dragon.
Oh, that's true.
I like it.
And that is like a demigod dragon.
Yes.
That's good clarification.
Possibly failing to do the ascension results in a Dracolich. We can talk later.
Oh, I like that. Yes, please.
Okay.
Give
Yes,
it
yes,
to me
yes,
now.
yes.
Not
Yes,
later
yes.
now.
All right. So this demigod, what's its whole deal? What's its business?
How many of each type of dragon? Like, let's say we're sticking with chromatics and metallics. How many is it one chromatic dragon that can be ascendant, or is it multiple, or is it one of each color of chromatic? Let's get our taxonomy figured out. If we're
Here's
doing
the
this.
thing, my personal view on dragons.
Okay.
Becoming an ancient dragon
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly rare, I think.
Yes.
So, having more than one ascend is probably also going to be incredibly rare.
Improbable.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say it's not that there's a limit on it, but I would say that it is nigh impossible to do.
Okay, I like that. So this is
Yeah.
this is the crowning pinnacle. You are no longer
This is the
just
tip of the
an
top.
immortal fire breathing beast. You are now basically in control of components of reality because you're
Yes.
a god.
So that sort of that regional effect that all dragons have, their layers extend out to a certain space. Ice dragons make everything cold. Fire dragons make everything like a volcano-y area or a desert. I think that is something they are able to do on a grand scale,
Like globe.
where they almost terraform like continents to be their domains.
I like that.
You know why you like it?
Why?
Because it fits into the already existing lore.
It does.
See that?
Terraforming dragons is the shit.
So, this dragon, when these aforementioned dwarf settlers were sort of coming to this new land, it had already sort of terraformed the entire continent to its own will, essentially, making the Belowlands a sort of hellscape of storm and rain and whatever it sort of wanted it to be.
Shitty weather.
Bad stuff.
Tempest weather. Okay.
Yes, I think that is cool.
I like that a lot. I love that concept. And like we could have like and I don't know if we have this many ancient or ascendant dragons, but we could have dragons affiliated with terraforming on other continents too. There's a possibility there.
Oh, fully. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Okay, so what color dragon is this? Is it a colored dragon? Like what's
I like the idea of not escaping like chromat or metallic, but the idea that it's no longer one of the colors.
so it's chromatic or an ancient chromatic dragon with no or an ancient metallic
It's an ancient
dragon.
chromat or an ancient metallic.
That's good. So once you ascend, you no longer affiliate with a direct color. You just are ascendant
Yeah.
within chromatic or metallic, depending upon where
Yes,
you came.
depending on.
I like
yeah.
that. That's good. Which
I
makes
think that's
all
cool.
other chromatics kind of deferential to you, in a way. Not like
Yeah.
structurally, but
Well, it's going to
power-wise.
make all the chromats jealous to no end.
Oh right, because they're greedy sons of guns. Those.
Yeah, they suck, dude.
Okay. So we've got this ascendant chromatic dragon. Lived on top of a mountain. Was there-
The whole life.
Was there to terraform that continent, or decided to based on its own free
Well, I guess
will.
just the presence of its, like, by nature of its being, it sort of changes the environment. Not necessarily, like, forces it to change, but it can also, like, force aspects of it to
Right.
act.
It can bend it against its will, or bend it with its will, or just things happen.
Yes,
It's a force of nature in and of itself, but it also controls its force.
pretty much.
Okay.
So, how about this? Let's start baseline. Where on our world did dragons come from? Let's answer that question.
Okay, well, you said they're terraformers. The individual who crossed from the beyond over and dropped, per episode 3, dropped our elves as the first sentient race on the planet, had begun in a way terraforming in and of itself by forming the land masses. But what if it also did place the dragons?
It placed the dragons?
The ascendant dragons
It placed the ascendant
to
ones.
terraform. And all other dragons are actually deformed variants of the ascendant dragons. Dragons that don't have that celestial connection or deetic connection.
So the ones that aren't part of this direct connection were like all the colors, chromats, the metallics, all sort of branched off of these first two metallic and chromatic ascendant ones. Interesting. Okay.
Could be something.
Okay.
Like that.
Now, do those two entities still exist?
Well, the established one of them does for sure.
Are those the demigods that are the only two of those kind?
They could be.
I mean,
Interesting conflict there.
it's up to us.
I can't decide. There's so many options if you look at it either way. Like, my mind is projecting down both pathways where it's like, we could have, like, a Bahamut Tiamat kind of thing going on, or we could have, like, but I don't know if we want to do that, right? So maybe we do
I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being like not like a thing that's passed down, but it's something where eventually one of the ancient dragons like finds out there used to be one of these ascendants,
And becomes one.
and it attempts to become one.
Okay. So the Ascendants started it, but the Ascendants essentially died out or passed on or moved on or whatever, leaving the other dragons behind, and then an ancient dragon reascended or attempted to reascend.
Yes.
Okay. And this storm dragon is one of those ancients that tried to reascend.
Yes. Okay. I know we've been back and forth a lot about this.
This is complicated.
What if the only... Okay, so you know how we said all chromats were one and all metallics were one when they ascend? What if it's just those two that were all colors?
Right.
But when a blue dragon ascends, it becomes the storm dragon.
Okay, so those two progenitor dragons were...
Yes, progenitor dragons. That's a really good term for it.
Okay. Those progenitor dragons birthed or whatever all these other types of dragons in the various chromatic and metallic colors, and then those, as they grew, the ones that made it to ancient and then ascended, became
Each
deities
one
of,
has
like,
like
the
its
Tempest.
own element that becomes something else when it ascends. Like the lightning breath becomes a storm dragon, or
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. One other line of thought, just to consider.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
sure.
audience. Flipping it on its head, the elves were put on the planet as sentient life. What if the dragons were put on the planet as sentient life, but they were not limited in their capabilities? And so they began to follow this path of ascendancy over thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. And the gods didn't realize until it was too late when these ones ascended that they had essentially created creatures that could become deities in and of themselves, because the architect that we've kind of discussed as this person who maps out the capabilities and the lifespans of the sentient races
Was formed after dragons
was
were
formed
already
after
existing.
dragons were made. And dragons are another
I like-
accident.
I like it.
We could do
I
that.
like that better.
Me too. It like they seeded elves and dragons on this planet,
Yes.
and the
I like-
dragons had no limitations.
Like from the elements of this planet that he was making, he drew forth each dragon. Like the storms that were sort of brewing in this atmosphere, he pulled from that blue dragons and, copper or whatever the fuck the metal one is. I don't even know.
The mantle
No one-
for reds
no one
and
fights
stuff
those.
like that. Yeah.
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 I like
And
that
they-
better. That's better.
Yeah,
We're
it's-
reworking
it's-
the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry guys. Hey, sometimes this happens. Like, welcome to homebrewing.
Creation requires destruction, everybody. That's your tip for this episode.
Yeah.
Also, your tip for our last episode stands: this planet fucks.
This planet fucks hard.
Jesus. Okay, so we have our beginning point for dragons.
Okay.
We have an essential or an eventual ascension point for dragons. Something that they're all possibly aiming for is to, learn the old ways that these ones once apparently
Accomplished.
did. So they accomplished it, and then there was almost a demigod dragon that challenged the force of these gods, and
I
then
like
I'm
it.
assuming was immediately got his ass kicked.
Yeah, I got slapped down.
Okay,
Get back on the ground.
it's like a
Dead.
mosquito that has malaria, but we
Yes.
have nets. So
This is so tough cookies. Okay, so I like that. We've got this formation lore. So let's refocus back on our Tempest Dragon. Our ascendant Tempest Dragon is sitting on this mountain. He recalls the tales of his ancestors who rivaled the gods, and he has made his own domain here and is eventually challenged by these dwarves. But in the meantime, what are this creature's abilities? We're gonna take an ancient dragon's stat block, right? And we're gonna make it even better.
I'm gonna beef it up a bit.
We're gonna beef up the stat block.
Is Tiamat canonically in our world?
Nah.
No.
Let's do away with that.
Let's do away with Tiamat.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't believe
I
you're
mean-
gonna do all dragonborns like that.
Well,
No, you're fine.
fuck. I mean,
Okay.
do you really want Tiamat?
No, I just think it's a cool creature.
It is a cool creature.
It's the strongest single creature in D&D 5th edition. That's the only reason I didn't want to exclude it.
Counterpoint. Tiamat as a lore creature doesn't have to exist. But
Lore
as,
creature doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You could make it into something else. You are
Yeah.
correct. Yes, I
like
agree with
maybe
you.
two ascendant dragons fuck and Tiamat happens.
Oh no, the Draconic 69.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I heard rumors. Okay, let's beef this
We
blue
said
dragon.
this planet fucks, so
Let's beef this old dragon up with some good god stats. What do you
Okay.
got for me?
So, Ancient Blue Dragon, Gargantuan Dragon, a lawful evil. The armor class on this creature is 22. It has natural armor, obviously. The average hit points on this beastie is 481. It's basically 20, 60, 20s plus 208. So it's 208 base plus that rolled amount. But let's just work with an average, right? Like 481 is a good average. That's a big old chunk of hit points. But maybe we can do
Big
something
old chungus.
interesting. Yeah. Speed's 40 feet. It's got a burrow of 40 feet and a fly of 80 feet.
Fly's gotta be faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this thing should go supersonic or something.
Okay, well, they still have to be able to fight it.
Right, but I like the idea of it, like, rolling in with a thunder crack as it, like...
Yeah, it rolls in with thunder.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah, that's cool.
good. Okay. So strength on the blue is 29. I think it's 30 on the red, so it's a little less. Dex of 10. Constitution of 27. Intellect of 18. Wisdom of 17. And Charisma of 21. Its saving throws are Dex plus 7, Con plus 15, Wiz plus 10, and Charisma plus 12. Specific skills, Perception plus 17, and Stealth plus 7. Stealth. Stealth on I've never really particularly understood that, but okay. Damage immunities or lightning. Duh.
Yeah.
Senses, blind sight, 60 feet. I think we just upped the range of that. Dark vision, 120 feet. Passive perception of 27. Speaks common and draconic, and its challenge rating is 23. So why don't we start modifying that stat block first?
Okay.
And then we can talk
First thing I'm
about
going to
actions
change,
and stuff.
challenge rating. Chuck it out the fucking window. Don't ever use it. It's bad.
No more challenge rating.
The official creators of this system have come out and said they don't even use CR when they're building encounters. So throw it out the window. Just learn by doing. Learn by killing your party. That's the best way to do it. I'm sorry to say that, but there is no good system for CR.
You heard it there from Mr. Shikadance. Get your friends together and kill them. You'll be better.
So we're
at
never
D&D.
going to really assign a CR challenge rating to this any creature we build, but we should say like recommended level.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of party of 4 of this level, or party of 4 at level 20 would get killed by this thing, so party of 6.
Yeah,
something like that.
party of 6 or party of 4 with legendary items, blah blah blah.
Yes.
That's the problem with CR. It doesn't account for gearing or
it doesn't
environment.
It doesn't shift at all.
Yeah.
And I don't like CR. It's static.
Doesn't really work there.
So first thing I would do, higher AC, at least 24.
At least 24.
Give it another legendary resistance and another legendary action. So it gets 4 legendary resistance, 4 legendary actions.
This pen is busted.
Oh, wow.
Quiet you. Okay. So, AC 24. We're giving it another legendary resistance. So
I think
4
so.
times. Makes sense.
Another legendary action, and we're gonna readjust the legendary actions because the ones for dragons are bad.
Okay. Do we want to, before we get into legendary actions and all of the action economy stuff, do we want to look at immunities, strength, dex, con adjustments? Like, do we want to make this thing stronger, faster, smarter?
I'm going to add in thunder as an immunity because it's a storm dragon. It shouldn't get hurt by thunder.
Okay.
And I am going to suggest also, for whatever reason dragons don't already have, resistance to non-magical piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning.
Yeah, why is that?
Because this game doesn't know anything about its creatures.
Resistance. Non-magical. Piercing, blah, 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 blah. Piercing, etc.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's a very good shout. It is insane that the ancient dragons do not have resistance to non-magical weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's other resistances, ice
For storms, I would say cold.
like sleet,
cold is
snow,
probably a
cold
good call.
damage. It doesn't need immunity, but I feel like it shouldn't be being hit hard by, like, you know,
What if we did this? Condition immunities prone.
condition. Ooh, yeah,
Can't be
that's
knocked
good.
prone.
Because again, I know a lot of things say you can't knock over a gargantuan creature, but that's specific to
A lot of things don't say that.
yeah, a lot of things don't. So
Like
I love
Warlock's Eldritch Smite, which is fucking dumb.
it. Silly.
I'm going to knock
Condition
Tiamat
immunities.
prone for free.
Prone. Okay, so I like that. That removes a lot of people forcing advantage on this creature.
It's got to have a breath. A breath weapon's good.
Yeah. I think we bump up the lightning breath when we get into action economy.
Do we give it an additional breath weapon choice? Because I know the
Yes.
ancient gold has two. It
2.
has like a weakening breath and a fire breath.
I think it needs 2. But before we do that, this thing has a dex of 10. I don't think that's right.
The
I
deck
know
should
it's
be a little
big.
higher.
I think it needs to be like.
So I'm gonna say
I know it's not going to play
yes.
huge into it, but for saving throws and things like that, like it'd be nice to. This thing is fairly like, at least somewhat quick given its size.
Okay, so
Compared to its
let's say
friends.
this. How about this? let's go across the stats. Strength, gotta be 30.
Yeah. It's, yeah,
Dex,
100%.
what are you looking at? If this thing is as fast as you think it is, what are you saying, like 16?
16. 16 is
16's
exactly
good?
what I was thinking, yeah.
Okay. Constitution, 30.
That makes sense.
Intelligence. It's a god.
I
Should we
feel
put
like,
it at 20?
I feel like maybe 18 intelligence, but a higher wisdom.
I can agree with that.
18 int. Maybe bump that wisdom to 20, though.
20 wisdom? Gotcha.
Like, it's seen things. It's ascended.
Okay, what's its charisma? Its force of presence, 22?
I think 22 is good, yeah.
22? Okay.
So, strength 30, dex 16, con 30, int 18, wisdom 20, charisma 22.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Do we give it true sight?
It is a god. A demigod. I
Maybe
think
like
yes. Well, it has
True
blind sight. True sight, I'd say yes, true sight. True sight's in there.
I know it's a small thing, but true sight 60
True
feet?
sight's big. True sight 60 feet.
True sight 60 feet.
Okay. I think we should actually make this on D&D Beyond so that people
I
can
agree.
find it if they listen to the episode.
We 100% will. We'll put it
Okay.
out there for you. We can do that
Perfect.
after this.
Yes, fully.
Hey, guys, this is going to be on D&D Beyond, so check it out.
Yeah, we're going to make this on D&D Beyond. It's going to be good. So do we need to increase the number of dice per attack? Like, do we need to increase the actual damage of the attacks? Or do we need to give it another attack per turn?
I always like more attacks as a
So
dungeon
more
master.
attacks.
Right?
How about my full input on this? I think we leave the damage of the attacks alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, obviously the modifiers go up because its strength went up by 1.
Yeah.
But the multi-attack is 1 bite, 2 claws, 1 tail.
So you can use your tail in that
On your
multi-attack.
turn.
That's good, rather than using it as a legendary action.
Yes.
I love that.
Okay.
Because it's
So-
hugely... And, like, so think of, like, the way that damage hits DMs when you're doing these homebrews. Like, if you're just upping the damage, when it hits, you're cutting this huge chunk out of people in one go.
Right.
The impact can be far greater if you begin to spread it out a little bit, but there's more opportunity for it. So
Also-
having multiple attacks is good.
Also, this thing is probably going to be on its own against 6 or 7 people. You want to have enough actions to be able to justify its existence. So I think those 4 attacks stand correct on their own.
The logic behind these big boss monsters that are on their own, and that's why legendary actions exist as well, is they have to do a lot of shit in their own turn and shit between other people's turns, because otherwise they are just going to get wiped off the floor. It's the only way to balance the action economy. When you got a party of 6 people, it has to happen.
How about this as well?
Mhm.
Instead of frightening presence,
Yeah.
it has some sort of radial aura that is just constant.
Ooh, like
It's
a
emanating
static
like
aura.
this. Yeah. It can even be like lightning damage in this radius. Like at the start of your turn, if you're within a certain amount of, I don't know, distance of this creature, you're going to get hit with some lightning.
So Tempest Aura.
Tempest
And
aura.
it's-
Perfect.
What's
Or it can
what's
even
the-
it can even be, if it's a Tempest aura, it can even be like a wind effect that knocks you prone if you're too close. Like a constantly swirling, just like wind around this thing that knocks people down.
You know I like a creature that gets
I know you
multiple
like-
attempts to make prone.
Yeah,
Because
I know
the
you like
tail
that.
attack does that too. The tail has a chance to knock him down.
it does not.
And then it doesn't? Oh.
No.
Oh, the
Tail
wing
attack-
attack. You're right.
the wing
I'm sorry.
attack does.
I'm thinking of the
No.
wing attack.
But it's essentially like a constant stream of the wing attack.
So you've got the wing attack as a chance, and you've got this constant aura. So you're constantly knocking players down now.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Forced advantage.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so Tempest Aura. Is it a 120-foot aura? Or is it that too much? That's a lot.
That's a lot. I'd say within 30 feet, maybe, of this
30
thing.
foot.
Yeah.
Strength saving throw?
Yes.
What's the DC?
Because for some reason, the wing attack is dexterity, which makes no fucking sense. It's a strength attack. It's a strength save.
Yeah.
The DC, should it be 24 strength? Or is that too high? Because a lot of people don't use strength.
High. That's
20,
going to be a really...
20 strength?
Your casters are pretty much...
It's a god.
Although,
it's a constant effect, though.
Okay,
You're right.
Yeah,
how about 18?
But it's 30 feet. You did limit it down, so it's mostly going to be your melee...
melee strength or technically dexterity users.
Your dex fighters and that are going to be...
Well, fuck them. But... They're cheating the game anyways. Okay.
Okay, so... Let's. I tell you what. Let's cut the middle. Let's make it a 22.
22. A strength save of 22, or you're knocked
within
prone.
30 feet, or you're knocked prone.
And that's all it does is knock you prone.
Yeah. Let's make it a. Let's make it so then the monster has to take advantage.
It needs to be at the end of your turn, so you can't say, "Okay, I use my movement to get up."
To get up. Yes. Yeah. So at the end of your turn, you can stand.
No, at the end of your turn, you make the save to see if you fall down. Oh. If you end your turn within the aura, you could be knocked down.
Got it. Yes, that makes sense. DC 22. Good. Okay. So it's multi-attack. We've adjusted. It's got 4 legendary resistances a day.
Yes,
that's really
it no
good.
longer has frightening presence.
No more frightful presence, right?
Or does it?
It's kind of iconic.
Do we keep the frightening presence, just add in another aura effect?
Do we make the range on the frightful presence a little less?
No.
Okay. So
no, because it's already fucking massive.
Okay. So multi-attack immediately triggers frightful presence still?
Yes.
Okay. And then it makes 4 attacks, 1 with its bite, 2 with its claws, and 1 with its tail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like that. The reaches, when we look at the individual attacks, I think that we've agreed the damage is fine. The hit modifier is just bumped up by the stat changes. The damage types are good. I like that the bite has the lightning damage, just like the ancient red has the fire damage on the bite. That's good. Reach 15 feet seems reasonable.
Yep.
For all of them, and 20 feet on the tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's really solid. Yeah. Not huge adjustments that need to be
It's
made
still
there.
the same kind of size as an ancient blue dragon, but it's gone through some sort of transformation to become more powerful.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Lightning breath. How are we changing its breath?
Higher DC.
Yeah. I would,
let's say 25.
26.
26 dexterity save? I like that.
Yeah. Let's so breath. The dex save makes sense here.
Yeah, because you're dodging lightning.
So, yeah. 26. Recharge on 5 through 6 seems fair. 5 or 6 roll.
Yeah, that seems fair because
4
that's a lot. No, that's too much damage.
Yeah, you would.
I will argue against that because that can wipe a party in 2 turns.
Yeah. And I would say we bump up the damage rather than making it more.
Yes,
accessible.
bump up the damage rather than making it more readily available. Oh, and I will say, hold on. There's something we need to consider. This is a line, not a cone.
Oh, it is. It's very different in that regard. I say we make it a fucking cone.
Make it a cone of lightning?
Uh-huh. Like it's
so a 90
breathing out arcing lightning.
A 90-foot cone of lightning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Less lightning bolt, more fire breath.
I like that. So 26 save DC, keep the lightning damage, make it a cone.
Now, for those of you who are not, we are rattling off a lot of like numbers and technical terms here. I'm going to really quick say you should probably pull up the character sheet or the monster sheet for an ancient blue dragon here. For some of you who are new to homebrewing, like we are bouncing off a lot of numbers. Don't be too intimidated by it. We have the sheet in front of us, and we know how these creatures work mechanically. But one quick tip is just to try out some of these monsters before you put them into your world, so you know what they're like. Sean and I play arenas with our friends where we drop monsters into an arena and fight them to see what they're like.
We tell them to make broken characters, and we put them up against our homebrew monsters, and we see who comes out standing. It's usually a pretty good fight.
Yeah, which we will definitely be putting this in an arena fight.
Oh, fully. Yes. And also, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, you can pull up the homebrew monster that we made and put it side by side with the Ancient Blue Dragon to see the differences we've sort of put into there. Okay.
And these subtle changes can be a lot. Again, bumping up a DC a few points, that's a drastic change for people.
Yes.
Because that's an ability score change of up to 4 points, depending on where you're sitting.
So think of it like this.
+2.
Think of it as we didn't change the DC at all, but you were trying to make it with a -3 to your save.
Exactly.
That's the sort of weight we're putting on that number change.
Mm-hmm. It's hugely impactful.
Yeah.
Okay. So our breath weapon is changed into a cone. Essentially the fire breath cone with lightning.
Mm-hmm.
How much do we up the damage? The base on this is 88. The fire breath does 91
See,
on the average.
Yeah, we should probably up it a little bit.
Not too much, because 91 damage is a lot of damage to everybody in that cone.
I will also say it's lightning damage, which they usually expect to be a line.
Yeah.
So
And there's not a lot of things resistant.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
More people have fire resistance.
Yeah.
Like tieflings and shit.
Yeah, racially. What if we made it the same as the fire? Made it a 91? But in a
I think
cone?
that's fine.
So 91 average damage.
So 91 average damage, or if you want to roll it, that's 26 d6.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage for lightning.
2066.
Yeah.
They get to make saving throw. Obviously, it's half damage, all that jazz. Do we add any other effects to this?
I was going to say add another breath weapon.
Right. That's right.
I was going to say a thunder weapon, like a thunder breath. Or
So like a shout.
Thunder roar. Thunderous
I like
roar or something like that. That also recharges on a... Whenever it gets its breath weapon back, it recharges both of them, and it can use one and expend it.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So it gains both of them back, but if it uses either of them, it has to recharge both.
It's on the same cooldown.
Yes. I was thinking like almost like a push, like a Fusro Da.
That's... I said
Like
shout.
throwing
like
them and having them take like bludgeoning damage. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Dovahkiin. Okay. So that's beautiful.
Sorry.
So Constitution saving throw?
Constitution, yes. I will say yes because we wanted. I was gonna say strength, but that's already on the wind. So I think having another stat. This thing wants to be like varied in the stats it wants you to do. I like that Constitution.
Yeah, they can't weight it against you. You can pick your targets pretty well and
yes.
spread out against the party.
Yeah, and like Thunderwave I think is also a Constitution save. This is the same thing on a grander scale.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So Constitution saving throw. DC...
I will say we'll do less damage though.
Yeah, a lot less damage, I think. Because it's more like being buffeted backwards by a yell.
Yes. Is this also a cone?
Yes.
Okay.
But maybe not as wide.
So
60 foot?
60 foot? Okay.
60 foot cone. Con save. 60 foot cone. What's the DC? 20? 22?
Same DC.
So 26?
Yeah, Constitution.
26 con. Okay.
You better fucking hit it.
If they fail, how far back do they get pushed?
30 feet.
30 foot back. And how much damage?
Way less damage, I think, because it's moving them.
Like an average of 30?
Let's say... Yeah, let's do like 30 sounds good.
30 average. I don't know how many d6s that is, but it's...
We'll do the dice math and put it in the character sheet on D&D Beyond, but average of around 30.
60-10.
However close we can get it. You know how they get those averages?
How?
So you see how it says like 16 D10?
Yeah.
That is it rolling above average and below average consecutively until you reach all D10s.
Gotcha.
So I think it's one on a 5. It's like a 5 and a 4.
Right.
Or a 6 and a 5. 6 and a 5, back and forth.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, a little homebrewing tip for you people at home.
There you go.
That's
now
how they get the
I'm
dice
learning
averages.
things. Okay, so fail, push back 30 feet. They take 30 damage. Pass, No pushback.
Pass, no pushback, and half damage.
Perfect.
Well,
I think that's fair.
it just seems weird to, on a save from one of these creature's attacks, you would only take 15 points of damage. But it is just a shout, so actually that does track.
Well, we don't want it to be so weak that it won't get used over the lightning breath.
Well, no one is really making a 26 Constitution save. Not unless they're a spellcaster who hyper focuses on concentration spells or a barbarian.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And if
Plus,
they do,
like, if you,
good on them.
it's environmental. Like, let's say you've got them on a ledge.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's like massively important.
That's falling damage too.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
For how long they fall.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That means we're on legendary actions.
Legendary actions is a big one.
So the default blue gets 3. We've upped that to 4 legendary actions.
Okay.
Returned at the beginning of their next turn, or the turn, right?
Obviously, start of the turn, they get them all back.
I hate detect.
Detect is fucking dumb.
Detect, especially on a dragon that's got blind sight, and now we've just given it true sight.
Yeah, and a passive perception of 27. Probably more once we raise its thing to 20.
I don't even think it needs to be on the monster sheet. Just bye-bye detect.
Delete it.
No more detect.
Fully. Delete that. That's gone.
It's a wasted... It doesn't make sense.
I like bite. 1 legendary action for a bite.
Okay. And just 1 bite attack.
Yes.
That's fair.
Because bite is its big hush hush hush.
Yeah. Nom nom. And it does that lightning damage again.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing that I don't like about bite being a legendary action. Is it can do it 4 times in the span of 1 turn, or 1 round.
Which is a lot of damage.
That's a fuck ton of damage.
That may be why the tail attack was...
Should we limit it to the fact that once it's used one of its legendary actions, it can't repeat the same one?
I think we might have to. That does...
Like it bite, claw, tail. If it used all 4 of those.
Yeah, because gods, that's a lot of...
It's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage if you used your bite.
Yeah.
Again and again and again. That's 2d10 plus 9 plus 2d10 lightning damage. That's a lot of damage.
That's potentially 40 damage. Or 49 damage.
And it's at 15 feet, so it's... They can get out to... They're so big. Yeah, there's... Okay, I think that makes sense. So, your bite attack... you can
what
use
if,
one
how about
legendary
this?
action.
What if we put claws there instead of bite? Because bite is, as you said, very powerful. I like the idea that the claws are faster and able to move around with more ease than the head is.
If we do claws, can we do both claws for 1 legendary action? So 2 claw attacks. Because it's only 2d6
targets.
plus 9. Different targets?
Different targets.
Okay.
Oh...
It's nowhere near the damage that comes out of bite.
I mean, yeah, 16 damage, but that's twice to 1 person potentially.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, so that's 32 damage to 1 person for 1 legendary action.
Yeah, that is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a hell of a lot.
It's a plus 6. Well, it's a plus more than 16 to hit.
Maybe they've really got it right with the tail attack.
Well, tail attack's more. Being able to use that for it's still as good as both. One
again
claw.
And again and again.
I say 1 claw for 1 legendary action isn't that bad of a trade-off.
Okay, 1 claw. So claw.
Yeah.
1.
1
and
claw.
Then you can stack them.
I do like being able to move as a legendary action. That is invaluable to these types of creatures.
That's true.
Especially being able to get away without attacks of opportunity is crucial. So what if we said like two legendary actions, and it can sort of attempt to just move without opportunity attacks.
Okay. 2 legendary actions, moves its full movement without opportunity attacks.
Not its full movement.
How much movement?
Half its movement. Because I think that's what wing attack is. Fly up to half its flying speed.
Wing attack is just any creature within 15 feet.
Yes, but then it says...
Oh, you mean the wing attack for the other
Yeah,
monsters?
it can move. The last sentence
then
is it can
fly
move up to half its flying
speed.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think that is good for like a repositioning type thing. So what if we kept wing attack?
Do we need the move ability then?
Well, I think the move ability should remain the wing attack.
Okay, yeah, that's good then.
Yeah, I like that. I like the wing attack. I just,
So wing attack we keep. So we've got the tail attack, we've got the wing attack.
No, we got the claw attack. We got the wing attack.
Sorry, we've got the claw attack, we've got the wing attack.
Yeah.
What else are we adding? We've got 2 more.
I almost want this thing to be able to shoot lightning at people for its legendary actions. Not a lot of lightning, but just like have an arc come off its body.
So is it like an arc lightning spell where it bounces from target to target?
No, not like change lightning. Just like
Chain
a single target takes like 3d6 lightning damage.
Okay.
Or like, roll a save or you get hit with 3 or 4d6 lightning damage.
Okay.
Not a shit ton,
I
but
think
enough to be like a jolt.
I think let's make it a ranged attack.
Sure.
On hit.
Makes sense to me.
So lightning attack that's an on hit plus 16.
Yeah.
3d6 attack.
Yeah, like a Tempest Jolt.
Tempest Bolt.
Sure.
There we go. Okay. One more.
One more? We need 4?
Do we or 3? We've given him 4, I know.
No, we have 3. We have claw attack,
we've
lightning
given him
jump,
4 that
wing.
he can do. I know we
Well,
can use some of them multiply.
That means he can use all of them in one turn. He can use the wing attack, a claw, and a lightning bolt if he wants to go full.
That's true. Okay, let's leave it at 3. 3's plenty, but especially given the different breaths and stuff.
Yeah.
Hit points. We actually haven't talked hit points. He's got a big old honking mess of hit points.
Dump an extra 120 on there. We're done.
So yours 100. Okay, so basically 600 hit points.
Pretty much.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
In Mythic Tales of Theros, they do interesting things with hit points with their mythic monsters.
They do.
Do we want to consider that?
I
haven't run a mythic monster yet. You have.
So, I don't think this thing should be a mythic creature.
Okay.
I think keeping it a legendary creature with its increased legendary actions is good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think exploring mythic creatures in the future would be amazing. Mm-hmm. But I think right now, for what we have for the Ascended Dragon, I think that's good.
Second question.
Sure.
Spellcasting.
If it does have spells, it's a very limited list.
Yes.
Like
absolutely.
it has like one a day spells and 3 a day spells.
1 a day spells, 3 a day spells.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, from a fluff perspective, a lot of these things would be matched or beaten out by the breath weapon. So it's hard to like.
Yeah.
It's hard to be. It would be a backup if you're not getting charges back.
You
also don't want people leaning on that.
It's hard to consider a dragon wasting a full turn casting a spell.
Yeah.
To do, possibly some damage where it could just fucking rip someone apart. So I'm not sure it needs spells, and I think spells for these types of dragons can be handled on a DM by DM basis.
That's fair.
Okay.
Could we give it a legendary action Misty Step kind of thing? I just like the idea of it like thunderstepping. Like that would be really cool.
Sure.
It could jump out of
three
danger.
Legendary actions, it can thunderstep.
I like that. Okay. That's good. So then thunderstep. Because that's cool. Like I love the idea of like they've somehow pinned it down, right? Like they've got it cornered or whatever. It can still thunderstep out.
Yes.
And do some damage on the way out.
And then fucking haul ass.
Yeah. Because you've also then got more escape for this creature, making it more.
And honestly, I think that's how it escaped the dwarves. It thunderstepped and just fucking disappeared into the clouds.
Mm-hmm. From a lore perspective, that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have about our Ascendant Blue Dragon. And we've been at this for a while and probably need to move on to questions. But, thoughts? Anything else we need to do?
Thoughts? I like it. I like the changes we made.
Me too.
I think it's a good basis for a new echelon of dragon, I think.
Mm-hmm. And some of them are minor, subtle adjustments, but again, having run 2 of these very recently, they're not that impressive. This makes them more impressive.
At level 20, we sneezed off an ancient gold dragon.
Yeah.
It was not even
the gold was useless. The red was scary, but they focused it.
Yeah.
And even then, it didn't have that much to do.
I don't know. It was just not impressive.
Yeah.
I was rolling poorly all night. We still kicked the shit out of them.
Yeah.
I didn't even die.
No, you were tanky.
Yeah. I went down, but I didn't die.
Die.
But yeah, I think what we have here is good for a step up from the ancients.
I like it.
Hello there, listener. It's your friendly host, Sean, breaking up the episode to announce that we have actually gone ahead and put this dragon on D&D Beyond. If you search for it, it's called the Ascendant Storm Dragon. We've statted it out the exact way we've talked about in the show, and it should be completely ready for you to terrorize your high-level players with. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, it is on D&D Beyond. All you have to do is search Homebrew for the Ascendant Storm Dragon. We really appreciate you guys listening. The launch of this podcast has been amazing to watch, and we will be putting out more content on D&D Beyond as we go forward, as well as looking out how to put the world out for you guys to actually pull from if you want to. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, thank you guys again for listening, and let's get right back into audience questions. Bye, everybody!
Okay. That means it's question time, Sean.
That means it's audience question time, finally, after what feels like forever. Forever. Episode 4.
Episode 4, forever.
4. All right, Josh.
Questions.
Do you have our first question, or do I?
I do. I have it. I'm going to ask it of you now.
Son of a bitch.
Hey, Sean.
What's up?
How do you choose between sandbox or railroad style adventures for a homebrew? And how would it change how you build your world or not?
How do you choose between sandbox and railroad styles?
Consider this from a beginner's. Let's define sandbox and railroad for people who have never experienced that concept.
Okay, so railroading is when basically the players are on like a rail at an amusement park almost, because I've been watching a lot of roller coaster and amusement park ride videos, as Josh knows, recently.
It's scary, guys. It's an obsession. Somebody send help.
It's bad. Today I was watching Hong Kong videos. Anyways, you're on a set path. You cannot deviate from that path. Your character has no sort of free will to dictate its own course of action. That's what on like a railroading style means. Basically, some things to let you know you're in a railroad campaign is if you try and deviate and some like literally something comes out of nowhere, or there's some rule that doesn't make sense that says you can't do it, but it's totally within all the rules of the book. Your DM just seems to be making stuff up. That is a hint that you're in a railroady type campaign.
Picture a hallway with no doors, and there's things sprinkled down the hallway as you walk down it, but you can't walk out of the hallway. You're in the hallway.
Well, no, it's more like there's a bunch of doors. And even every time you try one, the game's like, oh no, that one's locked.
Yeah.
And it's magic locked, and there's no door handle.
Yeah. And it tells you to fuck off every time you touch the door handle.
Yeah. Whereas Sandbox is like Breath of the Wild. It's literally you are dropped in an environment and asked, what would you like to do? And you just have to go and poke things until you find something to do, which sometimes leads to players not knowing what to do. They don't feel like they've been given a direction, or they don't feel like they have any purpose in the story. They're just doing things because that's all there is to do.
There are ways to do both of these things quite badly.
There are very bad ways to do both these things, and both of them can be very invaluable to your DM.
Yeah,
honestly.
And you can use both of them in the same campaign. That's the other
Yes.
thing, is a lot of the and that's kind of a little bit the answer to this question, right? Like,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah. This is a question about how do you choose between sandbox and railroad for your adventures that you homebrew, and I would say you should use both when building any adventure. Both of them are incredibly powerful tools. So say that your party, comes across a new town. Let them explore it like a sandbox. Let them poke every building that you've built or every NPC. Let them explore the town, see its dangerous sides, its good sides, make some allies. And then when they find that quest hook that you've laid there, once they get their teeth into that quest hook, that's when you can use more of the railroad style of DMing to send them down the path of that quest. You don't have to, you don't have to give them as much to look at when they are searching for the clues to your adventure hook.
Mm-hmm.
Josh?
I mean, I think you answered that question.
Well, you should
very
throw
well.
your
Like,
sense in. I don't want to take the whole time.
I mean, I again, and I kind of I agree with you entirely. Like, use both. And also consider, you can change very abruptly between the two. Sometimes I'll railroad to introduce a set piece. So I'm a big fan of like these grand set elements that manifest before them, where I'm describing a lot of things occurring around them, and then abruptly all of a sudden it is then sandbox after that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just kind of phase between the two. I will say there is a part with Railroad where I think it's easier to fall into railroading, much harder, or in a bad way, than it is to fall into sandboxing in a bad way.
Yes, the stigma around railroading is that it's always bad, or, oh, my DM is railroading us in this campaign. So that usually is taken as railroading is something you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Or it's a negative. That is not the case. It is very not true.
Most of your party members won't realize they're being railroaded.
Yes, that is the key to railroading successfully, is do it in a way that doesn't feel like you're forcing them down a hole. Make it seem like it's the right call.
Yeah.
Or their only option, honestly. Like, it doesn't need to be the fact that you won't let them do anything else. It could very well be this is the only thing that there is to do.
If the stakes are right and the information has been presented to them properly, you won't have that problem, because they'll know to go there on their own.
Your players are smarter than you think they are.
Yeah.
No matter how dumb they act towards every NPC you throw at them, or how many buildings they burn down on accident, they are a good collection of minds.
There is also the element of, Sean touches upon this, a lot of your players are very good. Some parties are also going to make up excuses for themselves, or not be, they're going to lean in one way in perspective, or you're going to get a group that only wants to sandbox and doesn't care anything about your story. You're going to get a folk that needs railroading, otherwise they just kind of stand there with their heads cut off. So gauge who you're playing with as well, and cater to their play styles. And then eventually, like, if you're hating what you're DMing, consider who you're playing with and make adjustments there, because it's a group game, right? Like, it's not entirely on the Dungeon Master. Yes, you are absolutely responsible for guiding them and using these tools and elements, but also certain people are going to bring certain biases or play styles to the tabletop. You can't do anything about that.
And I think another thing about railroading is a lot of the times where DMs feel like they have to railroad people is when they have that player that wants to just explore their backstory.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're like, well, you have to do this. I've got plans for your backstory somewhere down the line, but here's the line. You have to follow this part of the line to get to the next part. And they don't usually go for that, or they're more interested in like, oh, I need to talk to people in town to see if they've seen my father. It's like, well, no, because your father disappeared 70 years ago on a different continent. Why would he be here, you son of a bitch? I'll kill you. Anyways.
Don't be that player.
Don't be that player, please.
Please. As a DM, don't be that player.
We're begging you. As two world builders, I'm just a man sitting here in a bar telling you to stop building shitty characters.
Well, we've said this before. I will go on the record saying this. your backstory should inform how you interact with the world around you, and your DM will work with you to explore that further and help you develop. But it should not be the impetus for you interacting with the world, for you progressing your adventure. It's going to be a problem.
I feel like I've gotten us off on a bad tangent of
railing
against backstory people.
And backstory is great. You can
Backstory's
have 26
fantastic.
pages. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Use it to inform your character's decisions.
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
Are we doing another question?
Yeah. You want me to ask another one?
Sure.
When designing a world, both geographically and sociologically, what's the best way to balance realism versus fantasy to maintain suspense of disbelief while still keeping things interesting?
Huh. Suspension of disbelief.
So, when do you go kind of wacky, crazy, big set piece as opposed to more realistic, kind of intrigue, grounded elements?
I don't do grounded elements, and that is because my mind is weird and logical, but enjoys magic. So it makes magic and these weird supernatural forces make sense in the setting. It makes sense in the world. The magic works in conjunction with other things. Mm-hmm. So if you want this high fantasy setting to be realistic, then you need to think about the logic of your magic. You can't just say a thing happened and it does. You need to think about how the magic, where the magic is coming from, like how it interacts, what's the source of it, how all that stuff sort of bleeds into the functioning of that non-realistic thing to ground it in reality. Honestly.
It's why world building is so important, is establishing the reason and logic behind things so that you know when it's applicable and so that you can construct the world around your players so that when something seemingly crazy happens in a way that is understandably crazy given the rules of the universe, or there has to be reason behind everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get players that are going to start punching holes in them, in what you're doing. Even if it is a crazy element, you can do insane things, but there has to be purpose behind it. There has to be some sort of lore or rule behind it. Also, I don't know. I like intrigue writing, and so a lot of my stuff is more oriented around like kind of these like less magical, less fanciful things. More the big reveal comes from a character doing so and so, right? Like that pops onto stage after a bunch of build up. Then the magic element is a tool. Magic is a tool. Your gods are a tool for these people in the world.
Your god's a tool.
Yeah, he is. But like, you know, like there would be no reason to adventure if people could just instantaneously change problems and if magic was the answer to everything. So there's these big plots, these big set pieces should be set pieces. They shouldn't be dramatic world changing things that anybody can just seemingly have within their reach.
Right.
And limiting certain things depending on the type of campaign is important, like the influence of your gods and the reach of them. Like you see Matt Mercer, to speak of Critical Role, locks his deities behind a wall that can't be crossed, and he does that intentionally. That is very, very, very intentional, because if the gods were able to spill into his world, a lot of stuff would just be meaningless and pointless.
Yeah.
So what does that reach look like? We talked about Pantheon in episode 3, and we talked about how their influence is restricted in certain ways, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. I think also, another way to sort of almost hide magic in your world is to make things look like what they experience in real life. Like you can have elevators. I know Taz is against that, or Taz is for that. That's a huge example of people using elevators in D&D, or like you can have self-driving carts. Those are just cars, or you can have like a metal animal that's a golem, or like a artificer's sidekick. Those are all things that clearly look like something you could see in science fiction, but is also very able to be described as something that's in fantasy.
Also, have your NPCs play by the rules of the game.
Yeah.
If you have a particularly powerful NPC that you want to be your BBEG, stat block it. Make a character sheet for it. Because then they're functioning within the same confines that the characters are functioning in. A lot of your bad guys can work within those elements, or stat block it as a monster, and consider the mechanical elements of it, because then your players, from a metagame perspective, are not going to question the
rules of magic.
The rules of magic.
Yeah,
it's already there.
No, you're fine. I also, just for disclosure, I think low magic settings are fucking boring, and I would never play in one. But that's just me. That's my personal preference coming into the game. So, it's okay if you say, well, I don't know how to do the fantasy side of things, and I really don't enjoy it, so I'm just going to not do it. That's totally viable. It's a very weird D&D campaign.
There are also things that don't need to be role-played. Sean and I are heavy role players, and the people we play with are heavy role players, so we role play a lot. We don't role play going to the bathroom or buying groceries.
You don't.
In Conundrum Company, well, that's true. Sean spends a lot of time with Rigby on the toilet, but let's not get into that.
He has indigestion.
But like, even so, again, I'm doing the Saltmarsh campaign with Conundrum Company, and there are elements to running a ship day to day. I created an NPC to do a lot of that for them behind the scenes, because that shit is boring. So even if you are going for that realism, create a mechanic or a system in the game that is controlled by you, predetermined, that adds that realism without the players having to do it.
Yes.
That's a really good thing to do.
To put what Josh said in layman terms for people like me, it took a few minutes to understand what he said. Basically, no, you're fine. You're smarter than me. He put an NPC in our campaign to take care of the realistic things that we clearly need to do on a ship, but that no one wants to do because it's not fun. So he put Oceanus on that ship to have the characters visualize realistic things happening and taking place without anyone, including Josh, needing to even think about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect solution to that sort of problem.
Wages are paid, supplies are gotten, maintenance is done, like all of those things without asking the players to do it.
And all that sort of dictates is at the end of the 7-day period, Josh will be like, okay, you spent this much on this.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, cool, we're done. Here's the money.
That's how you do it.
It's perfect.
It keeps the realism, but allows for fun.
Yes.
Okay. Last question for today?
Sure. I think we got time for one more.
Yeah. Okay. When homebrewing a campaign, how much do you plan out versus how much do you improvise?
Nothing. I plan nothing.
Everything.
We're at complete opposite ends of this spectrum. I plan nothing. That's not true. But for the most part, I plan the framework. I have the framework. I have like the path I'm hoping to sort of walk on, and I have the ideas for if they deviate at any point from specific places. But for the most part, I'm not a good prepper. I don't take notes when I play games, and I don't prepare notes when I run them.
And I will say, I say everything. That's not true. Because A, you can't plan for everything. Ever. It's impossible.
No, never.
Your players will throw you through a loop, especially if you play with people like Sean Parker, who like particularly getting creative. So, like, it's really not everything. What you have to do is you have to identify elements that are mechanically consistent and make sure that those are planned. That's what I like to plan out. Again, I like to have my economy sourced. I like to have like cultures and behavioral patterns like figured out so that I can reference them quickly. I like to have NPC plans so that I can have really dynamic and diverse characters that I'm familiar with when I present them to people. Those are sorts of things that I personally like to plan out. So when I say everything, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
because you can also lift those and drop those in. I can say, well, I have this NPC shopkeeper who's going to behave this way and have these items in store. And then it doesn't really fucking matter which store my players went to. They could go halfway across the continent and pop into a store, and I could drop this NPC in there and have canonically established that NPC there. And it's got a unique behavioral pattern. It's got wants, needs. It's fleshed out and exists in this world because I've already had a chance to think that through. Sometimes I come up with things off the top of my head. Sometimes I don't. But
yes. And I want to step back on my answer a little bit and give a different answer that I think better answers the question. When you're homebrewing and preparing your own campaign in your own world, you should do both.
Mm-hmm.
The more you prepare your world and the more you work on it and the more you know it, like in your own head, the more easily you can improvise if the players decide to take a left turn when you're hoping they go right.
Exactly.
You know what is on the other side of that turn, and you can run them through that on an improvised sort of basis, while also conducting a scenario behind the screen to get them back to where you want them, which is one of the best things about DMing, I think, is the seamlessness in which you move the entire world in front of your players.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh shit, they're going down that way. All right, let's just take these guys and put them in that empty room. All right, encounter changed.
Yeah.
Now they're in a
problem
dining
solved.
room when they get murdered.
And it is, like, again, that's exactly it. Like,
Yes.
So you've planned for everything and nothing at the exact same time.
Right.
It's really dungeon
you
mastering.
shouldn't have a script prepared for what someone's going to say.
No.
But if you know what they want to accomplish, what they're afraid of, who they work for, stuff like that, you're very quickly able to ascertain what they would say next given a specific question or prompt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the sort of...
If you know your NPCs, you know how they're going to respond to things.
Know your NPCs, know the world, know the environment they're currently in, and you'll be able to basically run anything that the players can throw at you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that bridging of those two concepts is the sort of perfect marriage of what homebrewing is.
Like, funnily enough, I think Sean and I have the exact same answer. We just come at it from polar different directions.
You
like,
come at it like a nerd, and I'm all cool over here, not reading books.
I'm a dork.
I'm kidding. Josh is my favorite person.
Oh,
Well,
right
that's
back
not
at
true.
you.
Cheryl Kill
Well,
Me
yeah,
Shoes
yeah.
would say
Careful,
that.
careful.
Sarah's my favorite person. Josh is a very close second.
That's fair. I'll
I
take it.
cut out the part where it was bad, so no one
Yeah.
heard it.
Well done. Good job. This whole section's getting
I'm
slashed.
gonna get fucking kicked in the nuts.
Okay, so on that beautiful note of the imagery of Sean getting kicked on the nuts, I think we're
Ooh,
done.
It hurts.
So
Yeah.
So we answered some questions, but if they had questions,
Well,
where would
not
they go?
just questions, Josh, but if they wanted us to possibly homebrew a recommendation or magic item or a creature they had, or they had a question that they wanted us to answer, well, where do you think they'd send that?
Well, I remember somebody saying, like a really smart, charismatic person earlier this session, saying
Oh, that guy was not charming at all.
he was. I
Hold on, I
really-
think he's still here. Actually, hold on, let me go see if I can find him.
Where? Hello there, consumer. It's me, charming, charismatic person.
I forgot his voice, but I think it was like this.
Oh, I hate you. You know where you're going to go, guys? You're going to send an email to loredumpquestions@gmail.com, or you're going to send it to our Twitter or Instagram at the loredump.
At the Lord Dump. Yes, very, very good. We will see all your questions, all your recommendations, and if we don't respond there, please know that we have seen them and we will probably respond in a future episode.
Ooh,
And if you'd like us to mention your name, just mention that it's okay to do so in the message you send us. Otherwise, we're not going to mention you, just in case you're, like, want to keep private. That's fine.
Yeah, respect.
Respect.
This is the outro song. This is
I
the
love
outro
this song. It's my
This
favorite
is the outro song. This is the end of the show.
I gotta go take a lore dump now. I'll be right back.
Oh, no. I did. We're cutting this too.
What are you? I'm believing this in. What are you, a cuck? All right, I'm taking that out. I held so much power as the editor of this show.